Most coaster enthusiasts agree that there are some lower tier coasters. These lower tier coasters are jerky, boring, forceless, or just headache-inducing experiences, so they aren't fun to ride. Well, some of these coasters I happen to like. These are 10 lower tier roller coasters that I enjoy riding. So how will this list work? If a roller coaster in the video isn't that deep in the lower tier and some enthusiasts like it, then I'll place it closer to number 10. If a coaster is deep in the lower tier and basically nobody likes it, it'll place closer to number 1. After I discuss why people dislike and why I like the ride, I will give a percentage of people who enjoy the coaster. Number 10, Skyrocket at Kennywood. It seems that if you find a review of this coaster on YouTube, everyone will say that it's a forceless ride. That is something I just don't understand. I rode this in the front row in July of 2019 after it just reopened, so maybe it was running really well, but I found it was a fun and thrilling coaster experience. The launch isn't anything special. It's not that intense, but it's still a blast to throw your hands up during that element. The drop hangs riders over the edge before dropping. This drop to me feels like a dive coaster drop, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Most people think that this ride is just boring, as some of the elements are taken at a slow speed, especially near the end of the coaster. I actually found this to be more forceful than Steel Curtain, the brand new roller coaster that opened, but maybe that's just me. Some tight turns and a whippy corkscrew lead into the second and more controversial part of the ride. The second part of the ride people claim is boring and forceless. While yes, it is pretty slow, I found it to be much more enjoyable than people say. Those weird transitions are very unique and feel much different from other elements, and while there isn't a lot of airtime, those tiny bunny hops provide a tiny bit of floater. While yes, Skyrocket isn't the worst coaster here, it's a lot better than people say it is. I think about 40% of enthusiasts enjoy Skyrocket. Number 9, Laugh Track at Hershey Park. Again, this place is in the higher part of the low tier, but still, many people don't see this ride as its full potential. I think what happens is because this ride is at Hershey Park, everyone was expecting it to be a great coaster, but it's not like that. People come off disappointed if they have high expectations, as this ride isn't forceful or airtime packed. But what this ride does have is pure fun. Every time I get off Laugh Track, I always have a smile on my face. Now, most people say this ride isn't as great as the other spinning coasters, and while I haven't ridden another spinning coaster, the others look a lot better. Most spinners look intense and have lots of spinning, while Laugh Track doesn't spin as much. In my opinion, Laugh Track is a great ride for its overall experience, has some fun moments, and all of the lights flashing in the darkness is so entertaining. I would say that about 40% of enthusiasts enjoy Laugh Track. Number 8, Rougarou at Cedar Point. Why people hate this ride is beyond me. Most enthusiasts say that this ride isn't as forceful as other B&M floorlesses like Kraken or Medusa. Also, most enthusiasts say that this ride is very rough, and I can understand that a little bit. The drop is very fun in my opinion, and even has some great floater airtime. The loop isn't the most forceful thing in the world, but it sure is a lot more forceful than people say it is. Calling this ride forceless is a big mistake. The tilted incline loop is very forceful, and so is that whippy turn directly afterwards. This ride also has some great transitions to back itself up as a good ride. Now, the roughness is something that I can agree exists, but not as bad as people say. It has a rattle, but the only jerky part that may cause some pain is the corkscrew in the second half, but even that isn't that bad. More transitions happen in the second half as well, which is why I love this ride. I would say about 35% of people like Rougarou. Number 7, Thunder Run at Kentucky Kingdom. Maybe I had a great experience back in 2018, but everyone seems to say this ride is not great. I personally think it has some wonderful airtime. The drop isn't anything to write home about, but the first turn is a great time. It provides some great G's with a smooth experience. Alright, it isn't the smoothest coaster in the world by any means, but it's definitely smoother than the Hurler at Carowinds. The ride continues with many more airtime hills and turns similar to Hurler. In contrast to Hurler, this ride has way better airtime. In the second half, it dies a little bit, but it still has some great floater air. There isn't really much to this ride besides airtime and turns. Positives and negatives are littered everywhere throughout the ride, and while they aren't the strongest, it's sure better than nothing. I really like this ride for that, but I think only about 30% of enthusiasts like Thunder Run. Number 6, Legend at Holiday World. Holiday World has 4 main coasters, with 3 of them really great. Each is full of positives and negatives, but only one has lateral Gs. That one is Legend, and it's often considered the worst coaster in the park, mainly for its uncomfortable experience. I could not disagree more with enthusiasts. The drop is fantastic, with the laterals at the bottom. The reason people hate this ride is how uncomfortable the experience can be. Sometimes laterals can be very jerky. Being slammed into the side of the tight train may hurt a bit, but I actually find it quite fun. Each turn, it's an intense and fun moment that causes a very chaotic experience. Also, I never found this ride to be bumpy by any means. Really, it's more of a classic rumble on old wooden coasters than a very rough and headache-inducing experience. The helix is terrific as well. The chaotic experience, along with over 10 seconds of lateral Gs during a double helix, is one of the most insane coaster elements. I really can't see how anyone could hate this ride. About 25% of people enjoy Legend. Number 5, Thunderhawk at Dorney Park. This old 1920s classic in Allentown, Pennsylvania is similar to the previous 3 coasters on the list, in which enthusiasts may find it a little rough to enjoy. Starting with a forceless little drop, the ride enters, according to some enthusiasts, the first rough patch. Now, in my opinion, this ride couldn't get smoother at any part except for one, which I will get to later. The first airtime hill is a blast, as it provides a quick pop of ejector airtime which gets the ride started. The train flies up into a floater moment which provides some fun floater air. Afterwards, the ride dives into the spaghetti bowl section which provides some fun lateral Gs in between the floater airtime moments. And may I add, other enthusiasts are complaining about the roughness, which I don't see at all in the beginning. But one turn in the spaghetti bowl section does have a large jolt, and you can even see it on most POVs. But if you brace for it like I did, you will absolutely enjoy the fun and thrilling lateral-filled moment. The finale consists of many airtime hills before ending. Even for being almost 100 years old, it is still running smooth in my opinion and has some great airtime. I don't understand how only about 20% of enthusiasts enjoy this ride. Number 4, Racer at Kings Island. The last wooden coaster finally is here at the number 4 spot, and it's the most hated of the bunch. If you watched my recent video, I ranked Racer at number 6 in the park. Again, like the other Woodies, it's hated for being uncomfortable and boring, and just like I said with the others, it's slammed full of airtime and is one of the smoothest Woodies I've been on. Each element is full of airtime on the blue side. Also, the racing aspect adds to the already great experience. It is a contest against the other train to see who will be the winner of the ride. But I don't understand why people hate the wonderful thing that is Racer. Each airtime moment is forceful and packed with negative Gs. The ride is very smooth and it has never given me any pain on the blue side. It's unfortunate that only 20% of people enjoy Racer. Number 3, Invertigo at Kings Island. Finally, a steel coaster makes the list. Now, people really hate this ride, and I think I know why. Invertigo is a boomerang, which automatically makes this coaster a horrible creation to enthusiasts. But this boomerang is something a lot different. This one somehow is a smooth boomerang, which causes it to be one of the best coasters in the park. Also, something to add bonus points to this already great coaster is that you can choose to ride it backwards or forwards from the beginning. This will change the experience drastically, and the Cobra Roll is one of the most intense coaster experiences ever. The amount of positives in the loop is absurd, and it's even better backwards. If anyone says this ride is rough, like most enthusiasts do, they are completely incorrect. This is one of, if not the smoothest Vekomas in the States. I find it fun, smooth, and intense. It's a shame that only about 20% of enthusiasts like Invertigo. Number 2, Nighthawk at Carowinds. In April, I reviewed Nighthawk, and it was a very different opinion than most, and my opinion has yet to change. Nighthawk, in my opinion, was way better than the closed Firehawk at Kings Island. Everyone who rides Nighthawk, except for a very small percentage, hates it. People claim that it's rough, and while I agree it has a rattle, it's not unbearable. Entering the flying position, the train dives downwards to the waters below. The ride here enters a bit of a rough patch. It's not terrible, and the roughness adds to the fun experience. This ride, if you get past the roughness, is so much fun. Being in that flying position while over water is quite a terrifying experience. The ride is not too bad, and I think enthusiasts need to see past the tiny rattle that apparently ruined the ride. I agree with the approximately 15% of enthusiasts who enjoy this ride. Number 1, Vortex at Carowinds. Alright, enthusiasts that think this ride is bad, listen up. This ride isn't painful by any means, and I found it quite enjoyable. And yes, I am a boy, and yes, the positive G's did exist, and still I didn't find this ride painful. Many people find this ride painful because of the seats. Starting with a tight and twisting drop to the right, the ride goes through a positive-filled loop. Even I thought I would hate this ride when I was getting on the train because of the seats alone, but turns out, like I mentioned before, the positives weren't that bad. The loop was forceful but not painful, and the double helix was full of intense G's. The second half most people say is very painful, but I found it to be rather fun and intense with full of lateral G's. The corkscrew was also very whippy. The second half wasn't rough at all, but of course, sitting down is always better than standing up. Vortex is relatively enjoyable, and it's a shame that only 5% of enthusiasts see Vortex at its full potential. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Comment below a coaster that you may like but not many other people do, and make sure to have a great rest of your day.